All right. Great day, everybody. Fantastic to be here. I'm extremely excited for this interview. I've been following our guest for about a year or so on social media and have loved everything he stands for. So I've been looking forward to this interview for a while, been trying to set it up, and finally our schedules have aligned. But first, I'm going to bring in my partner here, my business partner, my great friend, Mr. Jim Gale. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, fantastic, Matthew. I'm also very excited for this conversation. So this morning, like every morning, I walk out into the food forest and start harvesting food and eating breakfast just off the trees everywhere. And then Joe Heinzelman comes over. And Joe is a chef extraordinaire. He's a mushroom producer. And he brought over I don't know, 500 pounds worth of mushroom blocks. And these mushroom blocks are spent mushroom blocks. So now they're laying out in the field and we're putting them in different strategic locations in the mulch all around the field. So we're seeding the mulch with these mushroom blocks, which not only provides nutrients and the mycelial network creation, but it's also going to provide mushrooms. Oh, it's just magical. So anyway, things are good. I'm soaking wet from the field, but here we are.
Great.
Fantastic.
I love that too. And Kevin, our guest for today, Kevin J. Johnston, Canadian, currently in Panama, real estate, money show host, as well as the Freedom Report, just speaking truth about what's possible when it comes to standing up to the corrupt governments. And one of the big things that people are all stuck into, this tax system. And Kevin, I'm really excited to have you here today. Why don't you first, for everybody that doesn't know who you are, just share a little bit about you, your show, and where they can find you.
My name is Kevin J. Johnston. We'll call myself Canada's biggest mouth. I have a big mouth that never stops moving. What happened, everybody, is that when I was 25 years of age, I went down to the United States and I stayed there for 5 years, making very, very, very good money. And I thought that I was going to be able to replicate that success returning to my hometown of Mississauga, which is to the west of Toronto. Well, from the year 2000 all the way to 2016, couldn't find full-time work. 6,500 plus resumes, couldn't find work. I just lost my mind and I started complaining on YouTube. I started criticizing the government, the left wing, the whole bit, because I heard over and over again, I'm sorry, we are not hiring white males right now. It turns out a lot of men were having the same problem in Canada. So my first YouTube channel was called Freedom Report, and it went to 2 million subscribers in 5 months. The Canadian government panicked because I was outdoing the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and CTV and City TV and CHCH combined. I was outdoing them all, and they had federal money. So how could one big mouth guy with one laptop, the same laptop I'm using right now, have that much traffic in that short a period of time? The government began pestering me and bothering me. And in that entire amount of time, everybody, because I podcast, because I'm always got a smile on my face, and I expose bad people and I teach Canadians what their rights are, the Canadian government has locked me up in solitary confinement for 7 months of my life. They've put me on house arrest for 3 months. They banned me from the internet for a year. Stole my house, which was about $1.1 million value, stole my car, which was a 94 Trans Am, drained my bank accounts, and then put me on welfare and told me to keep my mouth shut. Literally. So November of last year, I'd had enough of weak males, not men, weak males and psychotic women, all left-wing nuts, dictating the terms of my life to me. I took my last $900 and I went to Costa Rica. Now, Costa Rica was good because I was able to clear my head being in hot weather for the entire winter. But Costa Rica is not the place for me. The only industry they have is real estate, and real estate is expensive there. Canadians can't afford it. So I couldn't make a go of anything in Costa Rica. And that's when I just said, I quit. I'm not paying $20 for a burger anymore. I'm not paying $9 for yogurt anymore. I'm going to Panama. I've always wanted to see it. Gone. Since I got to Panama, I have moved into a luxury condominium. The canal is right there. And I have met with 3 mayors of 3 major cities, the 3 biggest cities, in fact, in this country. And I'm making about 40 grand a month, which I would never be able to do in Canada. Like, just never. So what I've decided to do is I'm helping Canadians move their money here to Panama where it's safe. I help Canadians with their taxes, like completely eliminating their CERB debts, their income tax debts, their corporate income tax debts. And now I'm buying, selling, and trading Canadian corporations that are failing. And I have the protective veil of being here in Panama to do all of this. But, just in general, it's a better country. Panama will be a G20 country in the next 10 years. They are rebuilding their entire country right now. They've got a brand new highway going in from Panama City to the Costa Rican border. They have 24 kilometers of monorail going due west, bringing people in and taking them out of the city. The subway system here is more advanced than Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal combined, and it's only 35 cents to take a train ride anywhere you want to go. The buses are 25 cents to ride, and I'm spending less than $9 a day on groceries. Now, I'm a pretty big guy. I weigh 200 pounds. I need some calories. And telling you the truth here, I eat everything that I want to eat, which is pork, beef, chicken, fish, yuca, potato, and salad. And I'm doing it for less than $9 a day. My grocery bill would be what? $150 a month, maybe? It's incredible. Yeah. So why would I not want to be here making money from Canadian and American clients and living the dream here in Panama? I have only one complaint about the entire country, just one. And it's only because it's equatorial that I get 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of dark. I do miss the day-night cycle from Alberta, whereas in Calgary, I would have the sun coming up at 4:30 in the morning and going down at 11 o'clock at night in the summer. I love that. But if that's the only complaint that I've got, I'm doing pretty good in life.
And it's a little warmer there too.
It's beautiful. It's 83, consistently 83 all the time. I love that weather.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. That's why I moved from Minnesota to Costa Rica. Same reasons. A lot of those same reasons. Yeah.
Good. Like Minnesota's brutal winters. Absolutely brutal.
Horrible. Yeah.
And so is Alberta. Like Calgary had minus 40 degrees Celsius for a week last Christmas. I couldn't stand it anymore. Enough was enough. I had to go.
That's ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. I think that's where they meet. Fahrenheit and Celsius meet is at -40.
Yeah, you're dead no matter what. Yeah.
So how did you get, what was I've been through some similar situations where I recognize the government is not here to serve us, but to enslave us. And I've started saying no. And there was a certain point when I was broke after doing $1.3 billion in business, making a lot of money. And then the systems were just so corrupt. And at that point when I was broke, there was nothing left to lose. So I gave up my fear. I gave up my fear of saying everything I wanted to say. What prompted you to go full at it? I think you kind of already explained that, but was there a moment where you said, I'm not doing this anymore?
Yeah, there was Remembrance Day. In Canada, we have Remembrance Day where we do remember and we're supposed to honor the fallen soldiers who fought for our democracy and our way of life. I went to the city of Edmonton and I met with a lot of veterans, and I sat and I had lunch with them. And the stories went back and forth. My life story, some of their war stories, all this went back and forth. And I asked a question, and I got a very unsatisfactory answer to it. I said, look, gentlemen, not for nothing, but you're trained killers. The government put a lot of money into teaching you, training you how to kill, and not only kill, but do it well. And not only do it well, but win. So let me ask you this. We're all sitting at this table and I'm buying lunch. Even though I'm on welfare, I'm buying lunch because they don't give you anything for it. Why are veterans and soldiers in Canada not getting together, forming their own militia and taking down the government one city at a time? And the answer really that I got was they looked around and the one guy looks at me and says, I don't know. He whispered it to me. I don't know. That, well, now you've got something to think about, I suppose. And what bothered me about that is that when trained killers are being treated like complete garbage by the same country that they pledged their life to serve, when they lost friends of theirs in battle, when you go to war at age 18 or 19 and an explosive goes off and your best friend is now in 3 pieces and his innards are all over you and he's still alive, begging you, please put me back together, please help me, save me, and you can't. And then you come back to a country where the radical leftist and radical Islam and the radical communist Chinese government now rule the roost. Why are you not fighting it? You should be at least enraged by the fact that your friend being in pieces now means nothing. Do something about it, and they won't. So I realize that there is a culture of cowardice in Canada that's systemic. It's right across the board. And that's when I thought, I can't be here anymore. There's no tough men left. I tried to do my very best. I saved millions of Canadians' lives by telling them there was no pandemic, don't take the needles. I've saved millions of Canadians lots and lots of money saying you don't have to pay tax if you do it the right way. You don't have to pay municipal fines. Here's how you win. I've done all of this stuff, and I paid the price for it with prison time and 7 legitimate attempts on my life. And then I realized that even the trained killers won't fight. I got to go. What the hell am I fighting for? What am I doing in Canada? What purpose do I serve being in a basement, making welfare, and being an indentured servant because I couldn't afford my rent? I had to cut grass and clean toilets and whatnot to make up the shortfall on my rent. Nah, I got to go. I got to go. I'm going to go to the jungle for the winter and try my best. Make a go of it. Take my last 900 Canadian and see what I can do. Well, I did it. Obviously, I left my comfort zone, and it wasn't even a comfort zone. I just left the familiarity of McDonald's and Tim Hortons, and I guess the street plan that I knew so well, and and I
created a new comfort zone. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm comfortable yet, but I'm also deliberately keeping it that way. I don't want luxury. I'm not interested at all. The building that I live in could be considered luxury, but I only have, like right here in this little space, 700 square feet. That's all I've got. It's considered luxury because there's a rooftop pool. Whoopie-doo. All right. I could go swim in the ocean. I don't need a pool on a roof to call my life successful.
Right.
I got my entire life down to 1 suitcase, 1 backpack, and 1 laptop bag. And I've never been happier. It's not a matter of I want to own nothing and be happy. It's a matter of I'm building something bigger for me and my family. There will be a day when all this effort pays off and I will completely disappear, just walk away from society. I'll have 1,000 acres of land. I'll have a relatively nice residence on that. I'll probably live off the land like you two fine gentlemen do and be happy. At that point, I'll have everything I need, not everything I want, but everything I need, and I'll be private. I will no longer be a public figure. But, gentlemen, not yet.
Yeah.
That's a decade at least away. I still have work to do. Go ahead.
I'm exactly in that process right now. And I believe I believe that I'll be able to completely get rid of my iPhone and never be on screens or be on screens very little within 6 months to a year. I'll be out in the field. I'll be growing. I'll be stewarding the land. I'll be serving. I'll be speaking and sharing. But I'm going to step away from this tool here. It's been useful, but I don't want to live under it at all.
So Kevin, I want to know, what are some of the most important things that you think people need to really grasp about how we've been fooled into a system where they take our money? I trade my hour for my hour of pay, and then they get theirs first from that. What's all gone down there? And
Well, okay, let's cover it. After World War II, Canada and the United States got into major building programs, infrastructure, schools, universities, roads, trains, everything. And both countries were granted unlimited freedom to do what they wanted to do within that system, which meant, and also there was no welfare state, which meant that you had to do or die, but you had the freedom to do. So people used that freedom and they built 2 incredible countries side by side. But then after the 1980s, everyone began to believe that comfort was their birthright. I don't have to do anything because I'm Canadian. And after 1994's economic crash, that attitude got worse and worse and worse and absolutely more prevalent. And now it's the floating doctrine of both countries. Do nothing, be nothing. It's okay. Your feelings matter. You can be obese and your dream man will come and get you. You don't have to earn your own keep because the government will take care of you. That's what's going on here. And in there, people just stopped learning. And when you stop learning, you're going to fear everything because you don't understand it. If somebody says to you, I have authority, you'll take their word for it because you've done no research at all. So Matt and Jim, where I got into this whole thing about taxes was my parents were like that. All right. God bless them. They're both dead. You know, they did their best for me and my brother. I had a good childhood, so I'm not complaining about them as people, but they got comfortable. They had 2 televisions in the house. Like we were the first household to have a VCR and 2 TVs in the house. Whoa, that's back in 1980. They trusted the government. They trusted the news. They did no research. They learned nothing about anything. They did not know. They did not know about the Bill of Rights. They did not know the Charter or the Constitution. They did not know about the taxpayers' rights. They knew nothing. So when the CRA, or at the time it was called Revenue Canada, came at my parents in 1983 and said, we're going to audit you. You're going to bring all your paperwork. You're going to bring your bank accounts, your statements, your paycheck. They did. They took everything and just went. And then they got locked into a room separate from each other, and they got grilled by 2 losers in suits. Now, my mother, the way she described everything after it was all said and done, I was so disappointed in both of them. My mother says to me, and it's just like this, oh, it was terrible. They locked me in a room. I couldn't talk to your father. And I went pee, and they walked me to the bathroom. They made sure I didn't run away, and they listened to me pee. Like, why did you go? Well, you have to. It's the government. I don't want to go to jail. Like, why is prison so frightening to everybody? So, like, what if you did? What would it be? A 3-day sentence? Come on, Ma. Hey, Ma, you got the right to remain silent. Hollywood got that one right. That's the one thing Hollywood got right. You've got the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney being present. Yeah. Why don't you say no? No. Where's my lawyer? Lawyer. Where's my lawyer? You can't do that. It's not the police. It's the CRA. They've got power. So when my mother started speaking to me like that, I was 13 years of age. I said, nah, Ma, you're wrong. And you gave away 1/3 of the entire net worth of the family because you're afraid, because you're a coward. And that is where I took a hardline stance against everything. Obviously, like, my old man was old school. He was from Ireland. He always figured that the best way to get a boy to comply is beat the shit out of the boy with a belt. Well, no, that's not. That's how you make an enemy. So realizing that the school system didn't teach me anything I wanted to know. I knew nothing about taxes or money or mortgages, and I wanted to. I just refused to do well in school. I didn't do the homework or anything else. The school would scream and yell. They'd tell my parents that I was being disruptive. My old man would take out his belt. And then eventually, and this is where I think everything kind of turned for me, is remembering him with his belt, but also correlating that angered face to him cowering and crying like my mother did back in 83. I thought, you know what? This guy doesn't have any power. So I took complete and total charge of the household. I trained myself. I went and I met up with a martial artist who taught me a very interesting form of street fighting. And I decided to become the alpha of the household. And it took less than 1 day to become that. Because when people are afraid, they lash out or they cry and they'll capitulate. My old man capitulated to me, just like he capitulated to the CRA. So that is when I realized, so long as you just say no to everything and you're prepared to fight to the death for your belief, people are not going to bother you. So I began living that exact way. I began just telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So when girlfriends would ask, do I look fat in this dress? Yeah, you look like garbage in that dress. But I was always polite. The blue one looks great on you. Put that on. I just stopped asking questions. I stopped playing along to people's feelings. Now, it cost me some friendships, but they weren't really my friends if they're going to be upset by what I'm saying. And around age 25, I landed that hell of a job with Hewlett Packard because I was a hyper-aggressive, hyper-masculine guy ready to take on the world. And that job was phenomenal. And my life, every time I was hyper aggressive, was always better than the average. I know more than the average by a lot because of my hyper aggressivity. I have no interest in pacifying anyone. The only people that get to tell me what to do are the ones who pay me. That's it. Not even a woman will be able to tell me what to do. I've actually also drawn the conclusion, gentlemen, and I can't say this in Canada because I'd be arrested for it, that we have completely eliminated ourselves as men because we fell for the rhetoric that women can do what we can do. And they can't. And I say this stuff now. And what happens? Intelligent women agree with me and stupid women cry and bitch and moan and complain. I've got all kinds of complaints.
Yeah, let's go see a bear in the woods and
go
deal with it.
Go see the bear. See the bear.
There's obvious differences in strength, bone structure, what we're designed to do. Even just think about where we carry body fat, right? Men will carry it around their midsection so they can still run and go hunt. Women will carry it around their hips so they can still hold and carry the baby. There's obvious differences, and I love women immensely. And I know we're different biologically as far as what we can do between our skills and our strengths. I can, I love Joe Rogan did a bit about he's got 3 daughters and his wife and a cat or something like that. And he's like, we're different. He goes, I can kick the shit out of all of those people at the same time. There's nothing they can do about it, right? But then when I stand beside Shaquille O'Neal, I'm a little girl beside him. But he's like, it's not that I don't believe they can do things that I can't, because they can. But we're different in that regard. And I don't know why we've accepted the narrative of they can do exactly what we can do. It's just not true. And it's been definitely
part of the psyop.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, gentlemen. So what I want to get at is people that lash out, they're weak. The ones who use the law instead of, fisticuffs are weak. And unfortunately, what we've done here is we've had an entire swath of the male population become what we call simps, where they'll go onto TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat and make compliments to women they don't know. Oh, you're so beautiful. I want to marry you, and so on. No, you don't do that. And what that has done, it's allowed disgustingly morbidly obese, gross, fat, unintelligent, rude, callous women to believe that they are perfect 10s. And they say this on TikTok. And as a result, they've got this false sense of confidence and false sense of achievement. They've achieved nothing, but these are the women that are now in charge of our society. And we as men have got to say, no more. Women, you do not have the emotional stability and you don't have the mental fortitude to be leaders. You can't be politicians. You can't be police. You cannot be in any CFO or CEO leadership roles because, first off, intelligent men aren't listening to you. I don't listen to anything women say, period. If you're going to give me a command, you better be prepared to kill me because the answer is no, period. And I've had guns drawn on me by women cops where they would say, come over here and talk to me. No. Why not? Well, because I don't talk to women. Get lost. Like they're mad, right? Because they think that costume gives them authority. So the hand just go up and call your supervisor. Call your supervisor. Women are not built for this stuff. And we have all said, well, they are. Well, no, they're not. So all those ladies out there need to understand that you can't do what men can do. Accept it. Let the man be a man. Make some babies. Run a really nice household. Let your man go out and work. If you're involved with a man who does not want to go out and work, get rid of him and find one that will. That's what you've got the right to do. But don't think for a second that because some feminist says you can do it, that you can do it. You can't. And I weigh everybody on the merit of their achievement and their capacity. So there are some women out there who have earned my respect because they can get things done. They usually end up becoming very good friends of mine. The rest of them who just squawk and bitch and moan and complain, I've got no use for. When they squawk and moan and complain about me publicly, that's free advertising for me. So thank you for that. But it proves my point that if you're going to cry like you hate women, you're a misogynist, like that's not an argument. Deconstruct what I've said that's on the biological and scientific scale. And they don't do that. They just throw insults. So what I wanted to get at, gentlemen, here is that I had to leave Canada because it's something like 38% of the government's run by women, and about 75% of education is run by women. And these are not intelligent women that we have doing these things. These are just the ones that want power. And somebody who just absolutely wants power without having earned it is dangerous. And all these left-wing freaks, these women out there who are engaging in all this LGBTQ rhetoric and nonsense, are destroying our country and destroying masculinity. When men are disinterested in dating like they are now, what's happening? The birth rates around the world have dropped everywhere. Every Western country, all dropped. Like South Korea is a prime example of that. The men are not chasing women at all. It's 0.72 children per couple. That's not replacement value. Their population will drop to less than 4 million if they're not careful. And South Korean culture is pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing South Korea exist 100 years from now. It won't if they keep this up. Japanese are less than one now per one child per family. Japan's a pretty cool culture. I'd like to see Japan still be around 100 years from now. Again, if they're not careful, it's not going to happen. And white people in the Western world are not having kids. So, I'm thinking here, right? It's all social engineering, guys. The feminists have been given the money to tell women, you don't need no man. But that's literally what you don't need no man. Well, yeah, you do. You absolutely need men, sweetheart. All of you, all you independent women out there, you're saying you don't need men. But really, what did you do to earn the money that you have? The vast majority of women who are millionaires inherited it through death of their husband, or they stole it through divorce, or they are earning it, but it's on OnlyFans or some type of pornography. Women who sell their bodies to simps do very well. But it doesn't mean that
there's a few things in there that, in my experience, so I obviously get that a man boxing a woman in the Olympics, that man should be put in jail, right? That is just obvious to most logical people. Running companies, or at least being the stewards, a well-organized and mindful and confident woman who knows her shit is an incredible business partner. And I've had them, I know them, and they are badass. And they can get shit done that some men can't get done. What I would love to go to, though, is your way about getting around taxes. And by the way, I don't pay taxes publicly. I don't pay property taxes. I don't pay income taxes. And this is a foundation, and we're very strategic about our Declaration of Freedom. Right? I wear a hat that says free man, given to me by Rowdy Meyer, another free man. And so how do you get to, what process do you use to help people become aware of the fact that they are slaves and that they should get out of that?
Okay. Couple quick things. There's that free man on the land movement out there. Stay away from those people. All right. They will tell you all kinds of pseudo-legalese nonsense. And if you do what they say, you will lose. However, with that in mind, if you decide that you don't want to pay taxes, you absolutely do not have to. And you just have to do it the legal way. And I use Canadian law. There are a number of laws that we need to utilize to get this to happen. The Excise Tax Act, which favors the taxpayer, not the CRA. The Income Tax Act, which favors the taxpayer, not the CRA. Then there's the CRA Act itself, which is junk. It's a garbage document. And then there's the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which has 16 clauses, and all this is available for free on canada.ca. You can see it for yourselves. The Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, clause number 1 dictates that you don't have to pay any more or any less tax than is required by law. Now, they screw themselves right there because there's no law that says you have to pay tax. Not one. You have to report, but not pay. Isn't that interesting? Clause 7 dictates that you do not owe any taxes whatsoever so long as your tax bill is in dispute. So if you owe tax, then you call me and I will dispute it and get you an appeal date down the road, which means your taxes are in no way owed at all until an impartial and third-party review can be held. And if you lose that, no problem, you appeal. You still don't owe a tax bill. The other thing to keep in mind is that the CRA, they send out what's called a requirement to pay letter. And that, That is a secret code that they use to the banks. So what happens is this. If they say, give me Kevin J. Johnston's money, and the bank says no, they say, oh man. And then they call the Department of Justice and they get one of their diversity hire lawyers to write a letter to the bank saying, give us the money or we sue you. The banks would then have the right to say, go away. And then they get sued. But the banks don't want to do that. So when they get those requirement to pay letters, the banks commit fraud and theft and send your money to the CRA. Completely illegal. So what we do is we tell them, we've appealed this decision. There's no tax owing. Put the money back or we are going to charge you criminally and sue you. And the banks and the CRA, they're very arrogant people. Yeah, well, you can't do that because I'm just doing my job. Okay, well, your job's going to get you in the handcuffs. So you want to take that stance? No problem. We will now contact our contacts in Canada who are private investigators. We will find where you live. We're not going to come and trash your car or burn your house down, but we're going to serve you court documents. And then we're going to put a lien on your property in advance of that court case. You can't sell the house until the court case gets heard. Then we're going to go public with all of it. I'm not going to dox you. I'm going to take the public document and divulge that to the entire populace saying, hey, look, we tracked down this CRA representative and we sued them and here's the lawsuit. Their home address just happens to be on it because it has to be. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Now you're screwed. Now you're screwed. So we use all the laws that are in the favor of the taxpayer to not pay tax bills. We will redo everybody's taxes right from scratch, and we find every single write-off that you can possibly have. That's legal, of course, and get your money back. You know, my favorite success story so far: real estate agent in Montreal had an accountant that said, "No, don't register a corporation. That's the wrongest thing in the world to do because they cost $1,500 to register. So just do everything through your name." Yeah, the tax bill was over $600,000 over the course of 6 years. So we said, no, that's not what's going on here. You throw your accountant under the bus. We take all your earnings, move it into the corporation that you did register, submit that. Now the corporation is going to be taxed, but you've already been taxed. So they have to give you back the personal income tax to then move it over to the corporation. So we saved her, but we got her back $590,000 of $620,000. She got one big check from the CRA. Boom, just like that. Then, because all the earnings are in her corporation, I told her, you can sell me your corporation. I want the debt. Don't pay them. Register a new corporation, and I take your old corporation from you, and the CRA can chase me for your money. Let's see that. Let's see how well that works. So that is what I do. We move your earnings. We get your money back. I buy your debt. All of it, every penny of it, because debt is a commodity that goes both ways. And that's what Canadians don't seem to understand. It goes both ways. The debtor can sell it. If the creditor can sell it, so can the debtor.
Yep. I've heard similar. That's a great practice, man. I love it.
Yeah, but it's all legal. It's not free man stuff. I'm not saying taxes are illegal, don't pay it. That's ridiculous. No. People who work for the Canada Revenue Agency, people in government in general, they've got something wrong with their brains. All right. And what I mean by that is they love paperwork. So something pops up on the screen saying letter A is missing. So they phone. Okay. Here's your letter A. And they go away. If you just give them the piece of paper that they want, they go away. It's great. It's wonderful. So that's what we do. We give them letters stating that I now represent the client. You can talk to me. By the way, here's a Freedom of Information Act form. Here is a demand for disclosure. Here's a no trespass notice. Here's a no contact notice. Here's all the above. Now you got no choice. You got to talk to me. And I will answer you within 24 days of any request that you make. We're not going to be jumping because you say so. No, it's on my time, not yours. So I will send off a letter on behalf of a client stating that, hello, I've received your letter dated August 9th, and you'll get a response by August 26th. Do not contact me or my client in the meantime. Yeah. And then we send our response. Yeah. And then they get their little letter and they put it on the computer saying, oh, okay, he replied. Now what? If they assess my client, no problem, we appeal it. So that assessment is now invalid until the appeal can be heard 18 months later, maybe 2 years later. Think about that.
So you mentioned the free man on the land stuff a few times. Now, these are just words, right? They mean different things to different people, and there's different processes that people are advocating, right? Here's my stance. I am free simply because I am a man and I am not born into, I was born into slavery, but once I recognized that I was a slave, I decided that I wasn't going to be a slave anymore, and I am simply free. And we are being incredibly strategic about how we demonstrate our freedom. And for instance, I've had 2 government officials come along with senators, and I've met presidential candidates and congressmen who have come here, and none of them have disagreed with me because we are serving the land, we're serving ourselves, our families, and the land and our community. We're simply doing good. And that has been the strategy that when they leave, 100% of them have said, I'll never bother you again. And now if I were in LA, if I were in Canada, I might be in jail like you were. But I am here, and whatever may come, may come. If I am killed, then the message will go exponential because I've been on 700 podcasts and so on. So I'm taking that stand. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I am what you would call a man. I get what you're saying. I'm not a person. I'm a man. A person's a corporation. Yeah. The reason I say you got to be careful with the free man on the land stuff, especially in North America, is that a lot of these guys who have the free man on the land theories haven't tested them yet. Or if they have, they've had the hell beat out of them by police, or they've been incarcerated by judges, or whatever it might be. Now, Jim, good for you for doing it. But I think you and I can agree on this. If you're doing free man stuff, you have to play it perfectly. Every syllable has to be correct. You get one syllable wrong in the entire statement, it's all over for you. They will send the boys in black out to come and get you, and those boys in black will make you black and blue. And I know. I've seen this happen. I've watched a couple people get assaulted.
I love it. And the layer of the strategy is that when that happens, it will be on film, and millions upon millions of people will see that, and they will also recognize the value that I am creating for the land. In fact, because this is so relevant, I want to share exactly what happened. I get a call from my partner. He goes, Jim, there's a guy with a clipboard and a badge asking about building permits. This was 6 months ago, and I've been waiting for this conversation for about 15 months already. And so I had a wave of kind of anxiety and adrenaline go through my body. I took a breath. I breathed in spirit. I walked over. I had my camera on, and I said, my name is Jim Gale, and I'm recording this conversation. And what's your name? He answered, my name's Alexi. Right? I said, how did you get permission to come on my land? Implied consent is not granted, and it's posted. My expectation was that he was going to say, I'm an authority and I have every right to be here, which he does not, according to even case law. But he didn't. He said, I'm sorry, the gate was open. I will leave if you want me to. I said, maybe. But before you do, I'd like to show you what we're doing. Your government, that little checkboard that you have on your paperwork there, will allow me to poison and cut and kill everything, as represented by every community that you've approved. I said, look at this land. There's butterflies, there's birds, there's bees, there's life everywhere. There's 250 types of perennial edible landscape plants. It's just paradise. And he had a tear in his eye. He said, I am 100% with you, because he cannot not be in any logical world. And it's also being recorded. So I'm prepared for whatever may come. And we are the case model. This is the idea whose time has come stronger than all of the armies of the world. But it's all of these pieces of the puzzle demonstrating the solution to all of the world's biggest problems is our foundation of our argument.
Yes. Okay.
Kevin is getting at, I think what Kevin is getting at there, and I know, Jim, you and I both agree on this for sure, it's the word magic, right? And it's the contracts that we've entered into that we didn't really realize we entered into that trap people. And a lot of the times, unfortunately, there are people who have certain beliefs that they can just start claiming I'm this, and I don't have to pay attention to anything else. But if they don't use the right words when they're being communicated to by the person who's trying to be an authority, or if they haven't done the work to properly educate themselves on the contracts that they've entered into, and again, they don't use the proper words when they're being communicated with, they do end up in trouble. So,
Yes.
I think we completely agree with you, Kevin, on that part.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a matter, gentlemen, it really is. I never mock people who have figured it out. But what I'm getting at is everything that the free men on the land have figured out, not all of it works. And it will take another 25, 30 years for it to start working. And what I've decided to do here is just not care about the consequences of my actions because I'm working within the bounds of the law. I don't break the law. Even when I'm saying things on my podcast, which most people would, not most, some people might consider egregious, I'm still very careful in how I word things because words matter. The English language has got about 460 words within it. It's a very potent, powerful weapon if you know how to use it. So the CRA, for example, let's call them out. They have hired 20,000 non-white, non-English speaking losers from shithole countries, like just awful countries. And these people know nothing about the nuance of language, and they certainly do not understand what they're really doing. They're following orders like good little plebes. They are diversity hires, all of them. Now, I've decided to take a particular stance that the CRA does not like. I told the CRA in writing that if you're going to be in any way, shape, or form threatening me, it better be a white male because I will not accept it from anyone else. What I decided, just to make them angry, this is not a stance that I carry in life, but to make them angry, I said, because I have superior genetic makeup to the garbage you've brought in from the Middle East and Africa, and I will not talk to genetic garbage. And all of a sudden, boom, like I got a phone call. You can't say that. Huh? Yeah, I can. And you'd better be a white man. Otherwise, this conversation's over. So when I do these things, they have no idea how to counter it, but they can't counter it because I'm not in Canada for them to have me charged criminally for saying these things. But let me tell you, gentlemen, this also is I've traveled. I've been to war zones. Countries like Bangladesh, I can tell you that the genetic codes there are broken. You're talking about completely inferior genetic specimens. They're garbage. 1,000 to maybe even 1,600 years of inbreeding in that part of the world. You've got phosphorus, you've got lead, you have magnesium, you've got mercury. All the stuff's in the water supply and the food supply. The intelligence quotients of full-grown men in this country are like 70. High-functioning Down syndrome sufferers are 68. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, there are inferior brains out there that I want nothing to do with. I don't want to be around people who are that stupid. So my trip to Bangladesh was a very short one. I couldn't stand the people there at all. But then I went right next door to Myanmar. And when I was downtown Yangon, the intelligence quotients were considerably higher. The people were very polite because they were Buddhist, superior culture to Islam. Buddhism is superior to Islam. I'm going to go ahead and say that. And it produces a superior product, being the country. Yangon is an incredible city where we were treated like gold. Bangkok, great town, treated like gold by the Thais. Now, here in Panama, because like everyone's race has been mixed some more, but it's a consistent culture. It's a Christian country where everybody flies the same flag. And they will always be proud. And everybody, regardless of their skin color, says, "Welcome to Panama." It's wonderful. I love it. So I wanted to get at right now that Canada is going out of its way to find all the genetic garbage that it can find in Africa, in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, in the Middle East, and so on, and stick it in the CRA to make demands of superior genetics, regardless of skin color. If you are not inbred and you were born in Canada, you got 4 or 5 generations of Canadian birthing having taken place in your family line, your genetics are superior to the garbage they're bringing in. Just how it is. Even if you're black, it doesn't matter. Like this is not a matter of I'm saying white people are superior. I'm saying that the breeding programs of Canada, United States,
right,
vastly superior to those areas. And I will not be spoken to in any way by genetic garbage, period. And I'm now saying this proudly and publicly because I've got the right to do so here in Panama. And the Panamanian government agrees with me. I've had meetings with very high-end officials in this country. And I love the fact that I can talk to politicians here. So you do not have to put up with
I'll add one layer to that. Now, I love that. I appreciate that you're not talking about racism. You're not at all. You're not talking about the color of somebody's skin defining the content of their character. You're talking about inbreeding defining the content of somebody's ability and character and wisdom, right?
Just like that.
Boom. That was
That's it.
just confirmed on a recent show. And I've lived in Karachi, Pakistan, and Dar es Salaam, and 40, all over the world. And I have witnessed this where cultures that are sexually suppressed, and you mentioned Islam, the inbreeding that goes on in Islam because of their suppression and their tyranny is extreme, and this is represented in their IQ and their birth defects and all that, and that is not just a statement of belief system, it's statistically validated.
Right. Okay. So I agree with everything you said. Sorry, one second there. Randy, I'm in a podcast. I'll call you right back, bro. So what I want to say here is that practices. Islam is a culture. They've made it into a culture where incest is best, where marrying your cousin is great. And all the birth defects and the brain defects and the physical deformities that come with inbreeding are disgusting. And the problem is that they're doing all this breeding in Western world countries, and white people are so stupid that they say, hey, yeah, it's okay. Come here, marry your cousin, which is actually illegal in our country, but you can do it because you're not white, and give birth to genetic garbage that will never produce anything. And then white people who are working and paying taxes will now take care of that kid who can't even walk on his own. You know, it is gross. Like, we need to, as a species, we need to change everything that we do. We need to abolish these bad ideas. Islam is a very, very, very bad idea. It is not a religion. It is not even a way of life. It is a manual. The Quran is a manual on how to destroy civilizations and be selfish and greedy and keep yourself stupid. That's what it boils down to. And the best that I can give you here is that the Quran itself allows for imams to declare fatwas, which would be religious orders from apparently Allah, that really suit the narrative of that particular country. So, for example, I reported in 2017 that there was an imam, a very prominent one in Medina, Saudi Arabia, who stated, here's my new fatwa, here's the new order from Allah. You can have sex with your dead wife so long as she's only been dead for 6 hours or less. Right. So, and also you are allowed to jerk off all over your own baby. That was another fatwa. Like literally you are in Islam, in Saudi Arabia currently, you are allowed to take your penis out and put it in the hands of your newborn baby.
And I do want to point out that every Islamic person I know would puke at that and they fight against it, right? And I'm also aware that in Catholicism and every single structured religion, there is insanity and tyranny and the desire to control, right? And you did mention Buddhism, which is kind of all about a culture of not controlling, right? Which I do appreciate that sentiment immensely, by the way. But please continue.
Well, you're right. The problem is the radical Islamic adherents make up more than 35% of Islam. And Islam has 1.4 billion adherents. So what's that number? That's about 470 million, roughly?
It's a lot.
Crazies that are polluting the planet with everything they possibly can. Bad ideas, screaming, yelling, burning, raping, killing, stealing, all in the name of a fictional character, Allah. Allah did not even exist until the year 632. And it was done through a pagan, Muhammad, who decided to try to get outside of his paganism, mainly because he wanted political power. And he figured that people were dumb and that they would listen to him, which they didn't the first couple of times he tried. He was laughed out of Medina. He was laughed out of Mecca because his ideas were really stupid. So the only way for him to gain religious and political power was to plagiarize the Torah and the Bible and go and hire all the Silk Road thieves and scoundrels and rapists and killers, gather them together and just move into Mecca and destroy every idol there and disrupt the entire city, which he did. And he declares, conveniently, he declares himself the one true messenger of this new fictional character he created. All right. And then in the Western world here, everyone's buying into the notion that Allah and God, like the Christian God and the God of the book, are the same. No, they're not. They are not the same. Allah is a creation that came 632 years after the establishment of the calendar. It's all ridiculous.
Being that we're roasting some sacred cows, what do you think of the Pope and the Bible? Has the Bible been manipulated?
I'm Catholic, and I hate the Pope. I hate the Vatican. Aside from its beautiful architecture, I hate everything that it represents. The Catholic Church is a political force. We know that. Rich as hell. And the Vatican is one of 3 city-states that exist in the world that are completely outside of international law. The city of London and Washington, D.C. being the other 2. The Pope can rot as far as I'm concerned. And I will state this. If the Catholic Church never existed, we'd be on Mars. We probably would have been on Mars back in the 1800s. They suppressed knowledge. They suppressed medicine. They suppressed, proper ideologies. They destroyed everything they possibly could to keep their political power and force. But then when they came across Islam, Islam was doing the same thing, except 50 times better in reference to the killing and the raping and so on. And the Catholic Church kind of stood idle and watched Islam destroy Europe for 500 years. And then finally said, oh, okay, they've made it to the Atlantic Ocean. We should probably step in. No, the Catholic Church is absolutely worthless in my eyes, period. So my Catholic stature is something that I've actually been challenging the Pope to take from me. I've been challenging the Pope. Please excommunicate me. And I'm trying to be excommunicated. The only thing I'm not going to like about that is that I may be banned from all Catholic cathedrals. And from an architectural standpoint, that would hurt me very much because I love beautiful architecture. Catholic architecture is pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
So as for the Pope, of course, they've all manipulated the book to suit themselves.
Completely. Yeah. And we all know how evil we've had the Catholic Church, the priests, the things that have been done to traumatize boys, the sexual assault and all of that stuff.
Right.
And then what do
and
they
none
do?
of that was in the name of God, by the way. All of that was in the name of the penis.
Yeah.
The penis of the man perpetrating everything. And you got to remember, the last Pope, Benedict, his job prior to becoming the Pope was to make sure that the victims of the Catholic Church never spoke out about it. That was his job, to cover everything up. Yeah. Screw him and the entire Vatican.
Evil organization, that's for sure.
Terrible.
Yeah. All right, so getting into details on how people could work with you to get like this woman where you got her some money back. That's incredible. Like I want to shine a light on that and that process. So to get you a lot more customers so you can help people screw the tax system in Canada.
The tax system is flawed in that the Canada Revenue Agency, when they were lobbying the government to get more power, they forgot to get power. So what I'm getting at is they're not a police force. They have no rights of arrest nor detention. They do not have private investigators nor detectives that work for them. They are a bunch of fools who do what the computer screen says. They have no right to even enter your property. And I know this, like I've read every document they've put out. I have been releasing to the public steadily all the chapters of the auditor's handbooks. And the auditors are told that you can try to be a sneaky, conniving jerk off, but if someone says no, you got to stop. All you got to do with the CRA is say no. I'm not allowing the audit. I will not fill out your paperwork. I will not cooperate with you, nor the commissioner, nor anyone else. If you want something from me, get a court order. And the CRA never gets court orders because they can't, because they're not walking into a courtroom with any particular law that says that they can do what they can do. And that's why judges say, I can't write this order. I would like to write this order and screw people over. But if I do, I'm undermining the courts. So they don't get court orders. When the CRA gets sued, they either lose or settle 97% of the time. And when they sue, which is not often, they lose 99% of the time. They only win in the third or fourth appeal. These are not people with power at all. And they are not easily beaten. What I do is not easy, but they are beatable when you do what I do. And I've studied this stuff since I was 13, everybody. When they took away a third of my parents' wealth, I have been studying this stuff. When you're hiring me to do your taxes for you, to get you out of tax debt, you're hiring 4 decades of rage and hatred. Let it work for you. Let my rage and hatred towards the CRA as an entity work for you. Because believe me, I'm not going to bow down to anything they say. It doesn't matter what they threaten me with. I'm completely immune to their threats, because even if I was still in Canada, I'm not breaking the law. I'm not breaking the law. And I do work with Canadian lawyers and a couple of really good Canadian CPAs, so that everything that we do is legit. It's going to be scrutinized by tax lawyers and submitted by CPAs. There's nothing the CRA can do when I'm doing your taxes for you. And I mean absolutely nothing. This is my website right there. Head over there, hit the contact form. Let me know what's going on. I would love to work with you and get all your money back where it belongs, in your pocket.
Man, that's phenomenal. I love it. That piece I am 100% aligned with, and the rest of them, I'm very glad you shared your thoughts on those. It gives a lot of food for thought. Matthew?
Yeah, I think that it's very important to be able to express our thoughts and our opinions and everything there. So, the freedom of speech is something I'm very, very strong in supporting. And, the religious dogma that's been instilled in name your religion has definitely harmed and destroyed a lot of lives. Governments have done the same, right? If you look throughout history on who has committed the most heinous acts against people, it's been them, and it's been religion. So the reality is we've been manipulated. Our minds have been controlled. We have been fooled into a state of weakness, and people in power are taking advantage of that at every turn. We have been because of the weakness, we have been allowing people to step into these positions of power and then grab more of it. No one is challenging what they do, what they say, how they instill, again, new doctrine into children. And the messaging is out there hitting us in every direction, whether it's the media, whether it's in books, what's allowed to be printed, whether it's in the school, it doesn't matter. They've got a hold of the people's mind, and nobody is immune to having it hit them. And
Right.
a big portion of the population is letting it control them. The masculine man has been changed into something that's evil, which I don't believe it's true. I believe that it's very important to have powerful masculine men who serve out there to protect women, protect children, stand up and fight no matter what. But that's become villainized, and it's happening in every culture. There are definite strong men of Islam who will protect their kids, will protect their wife, will stand up to shit. And there have been minds corrupted there through inbreeding and disgusting acts and hatred, and they'll go and blow themselves up in a group of people because of what someone says. And that is wrong. But at the same time, we have to appreciate that this stuff is infecting people all across the world. We do have to have, as masculine men, some compassion on what's going on. And I believe there's ways to help change people who are lost. But I'm not going to invest my time in doing that. I think what we need to do is create the better way, stand up for what we believe in as men, empower the great women who want to be strong as leaders in their own right within their families and doing the things that they have the strength and character to do. And as a unified front, we can create a better way forward, turn our backs on this garbage system that is here today, and lead us to a better way. Lead us to a place where strength amongst masculine men is okay, where we are all good with protecting the kids. We're all good with helping protect the women. And if there's women that want to jump up there and be in the front lines with us fighting for it, fucking hey, let's get them in there too. Because the mama bear who really is in the right place, I want that woman there as well beside me. So
ultimately speaking, Matthew, I would love to have a real strong woman, not one who declares she's strong, but just is strong, to have my back, where I am the provider for the household and the patriarch of the household. She is the first lieutenant, gets done what I instruct her to do, because what I instruct her to do is not because I wish to bark orders. It's because I know what needs to be done. She trusts me to give her the correct instructions. I trust her to get them done. When the weekend hits, that's when we can relax and be a loving, caring couple, do what couples are supposed to do in that time. And we need feminine women who understand that as a good thing, and masculine men who understand that as a good thing. And actually, for all the young men out there watching this, modern women suck in North America. Hollywood said told them to be rude and crass and vulgar and whatnot. And the feminists have done the same thing. Now the education system's doing the same thing. All you young males out there, you want to get women who are high quality? Go to the gym, put some muscle on. Let me tell you something, guys. Last year, I think it was June, I did a deadlift of 500 pounds. I lifted it 3 times in a row. And I can tell you that all the women out there over 40 that I was playing pickleball with and whatnot, they're just like, oh my God, you lifted 500 pounds? I'm like, yeah, okay. I got laid, man. And it wasn't one, it was a few, because they're impressed by a man who decides he wants to go out and just be masculine, be strong. They like the fact that my biceps are huge. They like the fact that my legs are loaded with muscle. They like the fact that I showed up driving a really, really hot car, which I did have at the time, before the government stole it from me. They like the fact that I simply don't care what the end result of any decision is that I make. They like that bad boy. Now, I'm not a bad boy that does stupid things for stupid purposes. I'm a guy that just does what needs to be done during the day. And women do like that. So you young males out there, go to the gym, lift weights, have really good endurance, get your body shaped, because they like that. And also you will feel better about yourself.
Yes.
Fill your head with knowledge. Forget everything that's left wing. Read books that were written before 1990, before all this political nonsense got into it, all this political correctness got into it. Read books, one a week. You guys got to fill your head with stuff. You got to have a large vocabulary. Make sure your vocabulary is at least 80,000 words. Here's why. The average man at age 40 in Canada has a vocabulary of about 40,000 words, which is 10% of the entire language. That's all that it is. Hyper successful businessmen have a vocabulary of over 80,000 words. And you now have to factor this in. Every word in English pertains to something, some historical event, some action. And because of that, with that guy knowing 40,000 more words than you, he knows 40,000 more things than you do. Naturally, he's going to be more successful than you, especially if he's hyper masculine and acts on these 40,000 things that he knows more than you do. Fill your head with knowledge. Work on you. Don't chase tail. Be one dynamite masculine man. Tail will chase you. And I know this. Because there's been 2 various points in my life where I took my own advice and I had 4, 5, 6 girlfriends at a time. That's the right way to do it. And then eventually I weeded all that nonsense out and I found a really good one that I stayed married to for 21 years. You will succeed if you take my advice. Let the tail chase you. Let you chase success for you. If men did all of this for themselves, being a little bit greedy, going out making money for themselves, the society in general would be a whole lot better, because masculinity built the Western world. And women, with their femininity, supported those masculine men and helped keep it alive. When a man builds something, a good woman can help keep it built. So ladies, never mind this feminist crap. You can't do what we do, but you can back us up and keep the country amazing. If we all go back to what we are supposed to be and do what we are supposed to do, we can save everything, but not until.
Yeah, different roles, right? We did a lot of ways to say it. We have different roles. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Matthew. Man, very thoughtful conversation. I know some people are just minds are blowing right now, and that's a good thing, right? And absorb that and consider everything that's being said, and then we'll come to our own conclusions. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, guys.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, and I'm looking so forward to doing this again.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. Great words. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We hope you have an amazing day overall. And definitely, listen to this and consider it. Keep an open mind. The powerful thing here is that we do have the ability to make up our own minds and take our own action. And it's time for us to definitely get into action to change our situation, unlock the abundance that exists within us all, and create a better place for everybody. So thank you for tuning in today. Have an amazing day.
Gentlemen,
Ciao
thank
for
you.
now.
Thank you.